Okay, Brenda, what we're doing is we're kind of asking people about morality. And first question I'd ask you, what do you think happens to somebody when they die?
They go to heaven.
Okay. So what does somebody have to do to go to heaven?
Don't do any of the 10 Commandments.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of that, this is a good segue, Brenda. We're going to ask you just a few of those to see how you do. We call this the good person test. So before I ask you, I'm going to let you know I've already failed it. So I'm guilty. So, all right. So I'm not judging you in any way. So the first question I'll ask you: have you ever told a lie?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we call people who tell lies?
A liar.
Okay. I've done that. Have you ever stolen anything regardless of the value?
No.
Have you ever cheated on a test or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. So I've done that too. So what do we call people who steal?
Stealers. Thief.
So listen, this is the one that got me. Jesus says if you look upon somebody to lust after them, whether you're married or not, to him you've already committed adultery in your heart. Have you ever looked with somebody with lust?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've done that too. So this is by your own admission, Brenda, that you've admitted that you're a liar and a thief and an adulterer at heart. And those were just 3 of the 10 Commandments. So here's the question. If he judged you by that standard on Judgment Day, do you think you'd be found innocent or guilty?
Guilty.
Okay. So do you think you'd go to heaven or hell?
Hell.
Okay. So Brenda, does that concern you? Honestly, we're talking about your eternal destiny and where you'll spend eternity. Does that concern you?
No.
It doesn't concern you.
No.
Why not?
I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Would you sell one of your eyes for $1 million?
No.
Why not? Your eyes are precious to you, right, Brenda? Yes. Your eyes are just simply the windows to your soul. And how much more should you value your soul and where you're going to spend eternity? I mean, it should really concern you where you're going to spend eternity.
Yeah, but I'm not going to sell my body for money.
No, that's not. I was trying to make a point is if you wouldn't sell one of your eyes for $1 million and you said you're not concerned where you're going to spend eternity, how much more should you value your soul? Jesus says if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. It's better you should enter heaven without your eye than go to hell. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it should concern you. I mean, it concerns me. So what do you think? Do you think you need to give it some thought?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the good news though. I mean, this is a perfect time to tell you about this. Do you know what tomorrow is?
Easter.
And what is the significance of Easter? What did Jesus do on the 3rd day?
He arose.
Right. In other words, when he was on the cross, he was paying the fine for us. In other words, we broke his law being the 10 Commandments. We're all guilty of that. And so on the 3rd day he arose and he defeated death on our behalf. So do you know what he requires of you? That how your slate can be wiped clean? Do you know how you can have partake in that gift of salvation and how you can go to heaven? Do you know what he requires of you to do that?
No.
He says if you'll repent, Brenda, that means turn from your sin and stop living for yourself and stop sinning and put your trust in him. And the minute you're ready to do that, he says that you'll pass from death to life and you can have an eternity in heaven. Does that make sense? I'm going to see if I can explain it to you a little bit better. So imagine you're going to a courtroom and you're standing before a judge and you've broken a bunch of laws. And you're standing before the judge and you say, well, Judge, you know, I've waxed your car on the way in and I hope that you're going to overlook what I've done. Well, if he's a good judge, he's not going to be able to overlook it. If he's just, he's going to have to see to it that you're punished, right? And so imagine you're standing before that judge, and he says your fine's $1 million, and you say, well, I don't have the money, I can't pay it. And he says, well, you're going to have to go away then. But at the last second, someone you don't even know walks into the courtroom and says, Judge, Brenda's my friend and I love her, and I'm going to pay her fine in full. You can let her go. How would you feel toward that person?
Very happy.
Very grateful, right? Well, that's what Jesus did for you. Even though we don't deserve it, he paid the fine for you. So if you'll repent and put your trust in him and start living for him and not ourselves, he says, I can wipe your slate clean like you've never even sinned. And he says, I can justify you. So when you stand before me on Judgment Day, he can say, I know Brenda and I love her and she's one of mine. You can let her in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So Brenda, I hope you'll give it some thought and think seriously about it. And I thank you for taking the time. Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate it.